Ah, the journey of self-exploration. There is never a roadmap. There is only chaos. I posted a video about how I left a relationship where I was really settling for the sake of settling down. It made me miserable. So I ended up leaving this relationship with someone I owned a home with because I knew how important it was to go find myself, as cheesy as that sounds. This video is in response to a comment that someone left. Well, I'm just lost about how do you go about the journey of self-exploration? Like, is there a right way to do it? Or do you just go about throwing yourself into different things until you find something that works for you? Yeah, basically. Here's how I did it. Do I think this is the best way? No. Well, I don't know, it's different for everyone. I realized I had ideas about certain circumstances and situations that were based on other people's accounts of them and not my own. And so I kind of made it my mission to push myself out of my comfort zone and try all of these different things so that I could form my own opinions about them and either decide to keep them in my life or throw them to the side. So the first piece that I really wanted to tackle was the social anxiety. I did this by signing up for a bunch of random fitness classes. Sometimes I would bring a friend if I really needed some extra motivation, but I just wanted to try a bunch of things that I had never tried before. So I took a twerking class. I took a pole dancing class. I'm not a good pole dancer. I slid upside down on the pole and almost hit my head on the ground. Same with twerking. I just do not have the hip mobility. I did a bunch of hot yoga and hot Pilates, which I had done before, but now I started to make it more of a routine. And I would go alone. And these were good ways to dip my toes in to interacting with other people because it wasn't like I had to like socialize with everybody. We were all kind of doing our own thing. We had a teacher telling us what to do. And so it was like, I was with a bunch of people, but I was still very much on my own. But I absolutely love hot yoga and hot Pilates. So I've kept that and it makes me feel good. I've made so many friends doing that. I took a hot yoga teacher training, made so many amazing friends from that too. Love that. Something else that I did that has been instrumental in finding myself was solo traveling. And I did this with Oatmeal. So we would go around to different Airbnbs with pet-friendly pools so that Oatmeal could swim because he loves swimming, loves swimming. These experiences were absolutely amazing because I had always gone on vacations with friends or with family. And when you do that, you kind of have to consult with the group about what you're gonna be doing every single day on your trip. So going by myself with Oatmeal, I had the chance to really see what I wanted to do every day on a trip where I could do whatever I wanted. There were some days that I just stayed at the Airbnb and read a book by the pool, or some days that I would go out alone and go to a farmer's market, and I would go out to restaurants and I would eat alone. And it provided me a lot of opportunities for self-reflection by listening to my gut and what it told me it wanted to be doing on vacation. I learned about the things that I truly love. And I really love spending time alone. So that was a cool realization. What else did I do? I also started to go to parties again. Because in college I had some like not so great experiences going to parties and going with people who wanted to stay out longer than I wanted to. And like when I'm done at a party, like I want to go home. I want to just go to bed. And it happens very instantly. I'm like, oh, I'm having fun. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm miserable. Get me out of here. There's so many noises. I'm overstimulated. So I started going out with people who also are grandmas and also like going to bed early. And I realized that that really changed the experience for me. And I was like, okay, so it's not that I don't like parties. It's just I have to go with somebody who also will want to leave when it's time to leave. I also just started saying yes to the wildest experiences just for the sake of doing them. For example, so I trained Oatmeal to be my service dog for anxiety, and on his first flight, we were seated next to a pilot. He wasn't flying the plane. It was just his profession. He was very cute, but I didn't say a single word to him during the flight because I was more focused on making sure Oatmeal was okay. I also have flight anxiety, so I was like staring out the window, making sure we didn't crash, because in my mind, it's my responsibility to make sure that we don't crash, as if that makes sense. But we didn't. You're welcome. And once we landed, we kind of started talking. I told him that I was a content creator and he was like, oh my gosh, I'll DM you. He didn't DM me. And in my video recap of this trip, I mentioned that. The video got a few million views. He reached out to me. Turned out he was like based in New Jersey and he had a layover in San Francisco. I was living with my parents at the time. And so we went on a date in San Francisco and it was fun. And then a few weeks later, he told me that because he's a pilot, he has these like free buddy passes. And so anyone can fly anywhere with him for free. And I was like, let's go to Florida. So I ended up going to Florida with this man. About 2 days into the trip, I just really realized that we were not compatible. He like drank a little bit more than I was comfortable with, was kind of bragging about all of these fights that he had got in. Also, I just think it was too soon to see him in flip-flops. And so I became like physically ill. I either like ate something weird, or I think it was just like my anxiety of like, oh my gosh, I am stuck across the country with this man that I barely know. I just don't feel like this is working. I want to leave. And I actually was like, okay, I want to go home. And we ended up leaving early. I'm so proud of myself for recognizing that this situation wasn't right for me and leaving early. That was huge for me. That was a lesson that I learned. And I would not have learned that if I didn't push myself out of my comfort zone. Did I need to go to Florida with a pilot that I had just met to learn this lesson? Probably not, but I have a habit of learning lessons the hard way. It really do be like that sometimes. So yeah, also in this exploration phase of my life, I did a lot of reflection, and something that I've been really terrible at was cutting off friends. And I actually went back and wrote some letters to friends that I had cut off that I felt really guilty about doing that to. And it allowed me to reconnect with them and repair relationships that I regret letting fall apart. And that has been so healing for me too. So those are just a few things that I've done in my year of exploration. I'm just like so grateful for this past year and a half, because I've learned so much about myself by pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And I'm now able to take these lessons and apply them to this next phase of life that I feel like I'm entering, so that I can build a life based on what I want, not just what I think I should want. So yeah, if you're in a similar situation as I was a year and a half ago, feeling like you really don't know yourself and wanting to get to know yourself a little better, I would just start changing up your routine and doing things that you normally wouldn't, just to see if you like them. I would also recommend to start journaling. I know that's like annoying, but by doing that every day, and also by like rereading all of my journal entries, I'm able to notice patterns about myself. It's helped me become more self-aware about why I do certain things. And also like establishing a really good morning routine has helped me like re-regulate myself also. Actually, when I was solo traveling, each time I went to a new place, I tried out a different morning routine. Like I tried out waking up at different times. I tried out making different recipes and different times of exercising. And by switching it up so much, I was able to figure out what times I like waking up, what foods I like to make in the morning. And now I have like a really solid morning routine that helps me have more great days than I would if I was just still like waking up at 11 a.m., which I was doing when I really wasn't that happy with my life. I would just live every day based on how I was feeling. And most days I was feeling like waking up at 11 a.m., not eating enough or eating too much and not really exercising. I was just surviving and not being intentional with the way I was living. Now I feel like my life is so much more intentional. It's still not perfect. I'm still like and I don't want to make it sound like I'm this like healed individual, because I still consider myself to be more at the tail end of this self-exploration journey, but I'm more regulated than I've ever been in my life. I feel like I know myself better than I've ever known myself in my life. I'm so grateful that I took the leap of faith to leave my last relationship and embark on this journey, because I think that if I would have waited longer, it would have been much harder. Not to say that you can't do this at any point in your life. It's just, what better time than the present? You know, like you gotta start somewhere. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be worth it. So yeah, there we go. This video was kind of a ramble, as many of these speaking to camera videos are, but I appreciate you listening, and I never know how to end a video, so I'm just gonna Irish goodbye.